Professor Dave explains. No he doesn't. On the 27th of March 2019, Professor Dave published a video titled, "The Earth is Definitely Not Flat." From Professor Dave. Anti-science mentality is rampant in this day and age, and one of the more peculiar aspects of this trend is the current fad that is the flat Earth model. There exists a group of people who believe that against everything we have come to learn throughout the scientific revolution, the world is actually flat and the center of the universe. That's not all. There's a big cover-up with NASA and all the governments, like some real sci-fi stuff. Let's go through some of the talking points of this model and see if we can deconstruct it all, shall we? Please note the words anti-science and scientific revolution. That's a lot of science. The good people at Globebusters responded to Professor Dave in their episode, "The Earth Definitely Is Flat," debunking Professor Dave. On the 2nd of July 2019, Professor Dave published another video titled, "The 10 Things That All Flat Earthers Say." Point 4 in Professor Dave's presentation was 4. How can our atmosphere be next to a vacuum? I'm not a, quote, flat earther, but his dishonesty was in direct contradiction to my bell jar vacuum pump observation and, most importantly, the second law of thermodynamics. Quotes from the video. You are all quite perplexed about how the Earth's atmosphere can exist next to the vacuum of space. This one is quite amusing because what's happening is that since you have no science education, your only word for the word vacuum is vacuum cleaner. And again, because you have no science education, none of you understand how a vacuum cleaner works, which is a problem because you seem to think that outer space is a vacuum cleaner. I'm not quite sure what Professor Dave is implying about our level of intelligence and understanding. You decide. Professor Dave puts it in simple and understandable words for people without his science education. Quotes from the video. Earth's atmosphere displays a gradient because gravity exists. There's a lot of atmosphere right near the ground, and then as you rise, because fewer and fewer molecules will have less kinetic energy to go so high, it gets thinner and thinner and thinner until there's none left. Then you're in space. It's that simple. Oh, it's that simple. Nothing to do with A, the water cycle, geological cycles, chemical cycles, and various Earth processes, or B, the way the Earth and atmosphere is heated by the sun, the presence of convection currents and weather, C, the second law of thermodynamics. What with Professor Dave having had a science education and using the word science, I thought I would ask him for some personal empirical evidence so we could all review it and be enlightened by his scientific wisdom. On the 4th of June 2019, I left a comment for Professor Dave. Professor Dave, you are lying, disingenuous, and dishonest. Point 4. You are stating that all flat earthers, yes, you use the word all in your title, say or imply that space is like a vacuum cleaner and sucks. You use this to distract and obfuscate from the incontrovertible facts. Watch the video, Vacuum Pump with Smoke and the Behavior of Gases When Exposed to a Pressure Differential, Second Law of Thermodynamics. The observations show that you cannot have a gas, with a gas pressure gradient or not, next to an area of significantly lower pressure. That would be a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, unless people are science deniers. The observation shows that the force of gravity cannot prevent the diffusion of the gas towards the area of lower pressure. Whether there is a gradient or not makes no difference to the outcome. The gas will diffuse into the area of lower pressure. You teach at an institution and have access to the equipment. Repeat the observation, record it, and put it on your channel for all to see. An observation of gas staying in the bell jar subjected to a suitable pressure differential. I look forward to seeing your recorded video, empirical evidence, supporting your assertion on this channel, or a retraction of your statement, unless of course you wish to deny the second law of thermodynamics. And you state that flat earthers have no science education. No word salad or nonsense from this point, Professor Dave. just your own recorded empirical evidence from an observation or experiment that is repeatable and reproducible by anyone with a bell jar, vacuum pump type setup. It shouldn't need more than the weekend to record and publish a video for all to peer review, and of course I will apologize and retract this statement when your experimental results prove the second law of thermodynamics wrong. Screenshot of the comment I left. Having discussed the Professor Dave video with a colleague on Skype, said friend got back to me saying that he had watched the video but my comment wasn't visible in the comment section. Only I could view the comment from my account. I didn't realize this trickery was possible. I just thought it was comments on or off. Professor Dave has been censoring me. His subscribers and commenters are not allowed to see that he has been asked to provide empirical evidence to support his narrative. That's not the science I'm used to. I copied and pasted my colleague the statement who added the same comment using his account. Professor Dave, who has been censoring me for asking for empirical evidence, now thanks to my colleague, Professor Dave was subject to the acid test of honesty. Would Professor Dave present the necessary personal empirical evidence recorded and date and time-stamped observations to prove the smoke in the vacuum chamber observation incorrect or inappropriate? Or would he not have any empirical evidence and instead use one or more of the following: obfuscation, deflection, word salad, or direction to a model? Make a prediction. When the person supplies no personal empirical evidence but instead employs one of the 4 distractions listed above, you will immediately know that the person is disingenuous and out to deceive you. The reply. Professor Dave explains, Lyle, I would bet my life savings that you can't define the second law of thermodynamics even when using Google as a reference. Incidentally, I have a tutorial on that in my classical physics playlist if you'd like to learn. Was your prediction correct? No empirical evidence presented, but obfuscation, deflection, word salad, direction to a model or tutorial. Not bad for a 2-sentence condescending reply. Professor Dave has failed the acid test of honesty with honors. Then my colleague contacted me to inform me that his comments were being censored and could only be seen by him. You are stopping me from applying to others' comments. Best not allow people to analyze and think for themselves, especially when you have no personal empirical evidence. Science is a review process based on repeatable, reproducible, empirical evidence obtained by the application of the scientific method, not censorship when you have been caught with your pants down. So, Professor Dave, a person that has had a science education and uses the word science in sentences, has 1. Been condescending and arrogant, 2. Censored a person asking him to support his narrative, 3. Provided no empirical evidence based on the scientific method, 4. Failed to be honest. That's a man of science. Professor Dave has proved himself to be dishonest and disingenuous. I'm not upset that you lied to me. I'm upset that from now on, I can't believe you. But let's not be too hasty. Professor Dave has until Sunday evening/Monday morning to provide his personal empirical evidence. We will give him until Tuesday. If we receive it, then we can, in true scientific fashion, review the validity of the evidence. Oh wait, we don't have a science education like his, so we aren't capable of making such a judgment. I will publish a video next week that will either contain Professor Dave's empirical evidence or just state that Professor Dave hasn't provided any. Want to make another prediction? Hey guys, what do you mean you need proof? Just believe me, I've had a science education. Please leave a comment on Professor Dave's YouTube video and see if you are censored as well. My sincere thanks to Karen B for her technical support in the production of this video, and dedicated to Globebusters for their continued questioning and discussions. The Smoking Gun. We have been told that Earth is in space, which is said to be expanding. Outer space has very low density and pressure and is the closest physical approximation of a perfect vacuum. But no vacuum is truly perfect, not even in interstellar space, where there are still a few hydrogen atoms per cubic meter. The video clip you are about to see shows a simple vacuum chamber observation. It is a low pressure rather than a vacuum. We will examine the pressures involved in the observation, then apply the known scientific laws, logic, and reason to determine our situation on Earth. Average atmospheric pressure at sea level: 101,325 Pascal, 760 torr, 1013.25 millibar. Molecules per centimeter cubed: 2.5 times 10 to the 19th molecules. 25,000 trillion molecules. During the observation, there was a maximum 51,000 times pressure differential between the inside of the bell jar and the outside atmosphere at sea level. Smoke or gas under the influence of a 51,000 time pressure differential. Gravity that is said to exist cannot prevent the diffusion of the smoke or gas at a 51,000 time pressure differential. At only a 51,000 times pressure differential, the smoke diffuses into the area of lower pressure in accordance with the second law of thermodynamics. The smoke, or gas, is not prevented from diffusing away by any force present or anything that could be thought of as a force. Deep space, which is said to be expanding. The pressure of space is quoted as being 3 times 10 to the negative 15 Pascal, 1 times 10 to the negative 17 torr, 1.33 times 10 to the negative 17 millibar. Molecules per centimeter cubed. 10 to the negative 6 molecules, or 0.000001 molecules, or 1 millionth of a molecule. Excuse the maths. You need to scale up the volume to get to one real molecule. What would happen to the gases of the atmosphere? A pressure differential of approximately 76 trillion between deep space and atmospheric pressure at sea level. This is a simple observation that anyone can perform or view on YouTube. The observation is self-explanatory. If you think you live on a globe flying through infinite expanding space, then what are you breathing? Because it sure isn't air. Some people may bring up the principle of a gas density gradient within the atmosphere. And then the water degasses and starts to boil. Rivers, seas, and water bodies begin to decrease in volume, and living things suffer a most horrendous fate. No atmosphere, no liquid water. No us. Thank goodness we don't live on a space-traveling globe. The logical conclusion from this observation is incontrovertible. There is no other explanation. There is only acceptance or denial of the facts and an unbroken law of science. The acid test of honesty. How might someone respond to this observation? If anyone says this observation is incorrect or the conclusions are mistaken, then ask them for their personal empirical evidence, recorded, dated, and time-stamped observations based on the scientific method to support their statement. When empirical evidence is not forthcoming because they do not have any, then one or more of the following will be used. 1. Obfuscation. 2. Deflection. 3. Word salad. 4. Direction to a model. Or 5. Ridicule. When the person employs one or more of the 5 distractions listed above, you will immediately know the person is either A. Disingenuous and lying to you, B. Cognitively impaired, or C. Suffering cognitive dissonance. Whatever the person's reasons, they are being dishonest and should not be trusted. Where does this leave us? We still live where we have always lived, just not there. It's an amazing place full of fascination and wonder. Observe, explore, and experience. My sincere thanks to Karen B. for her technical support in the production of this video, and my apologies for not thanking her for the last video she did for me. Dedicated to Nathan Oakley for his stewardship of the purity of the scientific method, a most precious and precise tool available to humanity to help us explore and understand the nature of our reality.